right, good morning. Welcome to, well, it's actually good afternoon. It's 1 p.m. on September 4th, 1813. We are about 7 miles to the southeast of Zwickau, the day before the massive Second Battle of Zwickau will kick off, where we have the 1st Corps of, the 4th Division of the 1st Corps. This divisional commander is Hardegg, General-major. And he is part of Collored's 1st Corps from the Army of Bohemia. He's pushing to the left to try to find the French flank, and he's run into the 61st Division of Saint-Cyr's 14th Corps that's defending the Zwickau region. And the French local commander, or the divisional commander, is Serurier, and that's what we got. I've got a preliminary video out. I'll have a link in the description so we can get right into the battle itself. It's 1 p.m. It's scheduled for 14 turns. And that's about it. All the background is going to be in the other video just so we can bring you to combat that much faster. The Austrians, and later joined by the Prussians, will be attacking. And the French are defending. So the Austrians will go first with their corps orders, not their quarters, their divisional orders and their ADC availability. If I failed to mention it, this is going to be a divisional game of General-major 2. I'm used to playing corps level battles, so I might occasionally screw up or try to roll corps orders, so please bear with me and we'll try to do it as best we can. Alright, here comes the divisional stuff, and we'll see how many ADCs that Hardegg will get. Alright, Hardegg's division is big enough to have 6 ADCs, while Serurier's division for the French will be rolling 5 ADCs. I haven't painted any non-Prussian divisional commanders for the Austrians, the Russians yet, so I got to work on that one. So Hardegg ends up with 5 ADCs. And Serurier ends up with 4 himself. Alright, we'll allocate Austrian or coalition ADCs first. I'm going to try to pull off an echelon attack again, which I'll probably screw up. Wimpfen with the 2nd Brigade, 4th Division. I guess I don't have to say 4th Division because everyone's going to be in the same division. So 2nd Brigade, they're going to get an artillery assault. They're going to get a skirmish tasking to increase their firepower, and they'll get a reroll. Next to them is 7th Brigade under Clausen. He'll get a reroll, and then the remaining 2 Austrian brigades are just on their own. Got my little template set up, and we'll roll for Austrian brigade. What do they call it? I don't know. They're following commands or not. 1st Brigade, the Grenadier Brigade under Schneller, is going to be hesitant. Also, Greth's 3rd Brigade over here with the militia and another line 2 more line battalions, also going to be hesitant. That is going to affect. They can reverse one of these with battle orders, though, and then they can only just pay 1 brigade penalty on initiative, which we'll definitely do. The other 2 brigades are following commands, and we should be in action here. Alright, let's go over to the French. Serurier is going to put everything into Bertrand and his Léger. He's going to do a skirmish tasking, artillery assault, and a reroll. The other 3 brigades are all going to be on their own. So that plan goes to complete crud. I guess Bertrand was overwhelmed with the amount of the complexity of his orders, and he shuts it down. He goes hesitant. The other 3 brigades are all active, but with no special orders. And that'll be it. The Austrians will remove their hesitant on their Grenadier battalion, or brigade, excuse me. And then both sides will be rolling 3d6 for initiative. That results in a tie, so we'll do it one more time. And quick rules clarification: a French division always wins initiative against a Austrian or Russian division at this, whenever, because they're just more switched on, I guess. In the rules, that's how I had the page there saved for a second. So even though the French did win the second roll-off, I shouldn't even have to do that because the French would have won anyway. So the French have initiative. There is no charges, so we'll go right into the movement phase. The French would move first, debate about it, and then the Austrians will move second. All right, starting on the coalition right, 2nd Brigade, moving forward, putting their skirmishers out. They do have artillery assault, and they do have the skirmish tasking. This is 7th Brigade to their left, beginning to move forward, put their skirmishers out in the trees to try to counter the French skirmishers that moved into those woods there. These gentlemen shifted around a little bit to their right. These guns will be firing. These gentlemen of 3rd Brigade, is that right? Yeah, 3rd Brigade under Greth, holding, they're kind of like the windmill. They get a good breeze up here. They're going to hold still and do nothing. To counter that, the French are being just as apathetic, not moving at all. Over here with Godard's 3rd Brigade. The guns from 5th Brigade, or 6th, is that right? Yeah, 5th Brigade will be firing from the trees. Over here, this is the big mover here. Couture's 2nd Brigade, they kind of did a face that direction kind of action and put their skirmishers into the trees. Their guns are going to be shooting. And then the French over here under Bertrand are hesitant. They couldn't move. They were able to move their skirmishers out to meet the Austrian Jaegers, and their guns will not be able to shoot this turn because they are from a hesitant brigade. Or this around the world. Let's go into skirmish shooting. French won initiative. They'll be shooting first. The Léger skirmishers from 1st Brigade, 5 bases, 6 shots into the Austrians. Nice shooting as they inflict 2 casualties on them. Shifting to their right, 4 bases of French skirmishers from the trees firing at these gentlemen. They will get 5 shots. Continued good shooting. The Austrians take 2 casualties there to those Grens. There's no other skirmishers for the French, so we'll go over to the coalition where these 4 Grens bases will fire 5 shots at the French, but they're in cover, so only get 4 shots. They'll have no effect on the French in the trees, and then the final coalition skirmish shooting will come from these 4 bases, normally getting 5 shots, with the skirmish tasking jumping up to 7 shots. They do inflict 1 casualty onto the French skirmishers, which is kind of sucky, but they do force a discipline check with that double 6. So let's see if the French can roll over a 7. They passed their discipline check, which is phenomenal, and they just take that 1 casualty. We'll go on to artillery fire. French battery over there will fire at long range against these gentlemen with bounce through. Hungarian line battalion takes 1 casualty from that round shot. Nothing goes through into the with the bounce through. Must have bounced over their heads. They get lucky. They're the 2nd battalion behind them, or what is it called? Battalion number 2. And the other French gun is over here. They'll fire immediately into counter battery against the gun to the right at long range. A 6 on the inferior battery table is no effect. Those Austrian guns are fine. Both of those guns are going to counter battery fire against those gentlemen in the trees. The big negative here is they're both at long range, and these gentlemen deployed in the woods. So this will go down to weak battery fire from both batteries. French guns suffer 1 casualty from that battery fire. Yeah, good job. And we've got 1 battery left to shoot from the coalition. This gun on the hill on the far right of the coalition line will fire long-range battery fire with artillery assault against these French guns that are kind of confused and hesitant up on the hill. They just missed taking a fatigue casualty, but they are able to inflict, with the 2 extra combat die they get from the assault fire, 1 casualty on those gentlemen up on the hill. Nobody's in range of volley fire. There is no hand-to-hand, so that'll end turn 1. Yay! It's pretty quick when you're playing divisional games compared to core level. And we'll go into turn 2, and it'll be 1:30 p.m. All right, see you in a minute. Alright, 1:30 p.m. Time for turn 2. The French will be rolling for, well, I guess we'll roll both at the same time just to keep it back on the dice rolling. Well, both sides will be rolling for ADC availability. Both commanders end up with 4 ADCs. We'll go ahead and start with Serurier first. Probably do something similar as last turn, at least last turn when he tried. It will do an artillery assault, a reroll, and a skirmish tasking, all on Bertrand. Gosh, it's tempting not to do it on Okay, hang on, I'm going to think about that. Alright, we're not going to do the artillery assault. We're going to do skirmish tasking on Bertrand with a reroll, a skirmish tasking on Couture with a reroll, and then Gilbert and Godard will both be on their own. Alright, Gilbert is hesitant. Everything else goes off without a problem. The issue is Gilbert's artillery is in there, and it can't fire to long range. So, Alright, let's see what the Austrians can do. We're going to try the same thing as the French with skirmish tasking over here on 2nd Brigade under Wimpfen, and also on Clausen with his skirmishers up there fighting the boys in the trees. That'll leave, what's this guy's name? Schneller, and I forget this cat's name out here, Grith on their own. Alright, Schneller and the Grenadier Brigade go hesitant. They do have an artillery battery with them. That one right there on the left. So I'll have to try to remember that can't fire to long range. Alright, initiative-wise, both sides rolling 3d6, taking away 1. Oh, taking the lowest 2, excuse me. It's a tie. The French win ties. So the French will win initiative. Gonna try something I've never done before. Serurier is going to do steady the buffs and take the hesitant off those gentlemen back there so his artillery can fire. And Austrians will have the initiative. We'll have to go back and visit that decision later, see if it's good. No charges, so we'll go right into movement. Austrians moving first. Alright, at the end of the movement phase, the French have held their ground. Austrian 2nd Brigade is advancing towards Reinsdorf. The 7th Brigade is doing the same thing. Just moving up in line. Maybe should have moved in column, but we're going in line. Not in a big hurry. See if their skirmishers can do the work. These gentlemen did move forward 6 inches over here. Not really doing too much else. And then these gentlemen are hesitant back here. Their skirmishers kind of fizzled around a little bit. French really didn't do anything. Alright, so we're getting to skirmish shooting. Austrians will be shooting first. We'll start over here with 2nd Brigade skirmishers. They have 4 bases, 7 shots. Score 2 hits. No double sixes though. They do remove a skirmish base. We'll slide to the left as these 4 Grenz bases will also fire 7 shots. But they'll go down to 6 because the French are in the trees. They score 1 hit, and that's marked. That's the only casualty that line is taken. The skirmish line is taken. They're going to fire back with 4 bases, 7 shots coming back at them. They inflict 1 casualty on them, which is enough to take away a base, which is removed. And these guys did lose a base, but they still have 4 left, so they'll get 7 shots back at the Austrians. They do 1 casualty, removing a base. They're down to 3 now. Into the artillery phase, this battery firing at long range at those guns over there, just firing an inferior shot. They are able to inflict a casualty on those guns over there. They're up to 2 now, and only one of these 2 guns can shoot. The one that belongs to the 1st Brigade cannot. So this gun will fire into there with a single CD. That puts a 2nd casualty on those guns. Those guns are going to immediately counter battery fire back at the 7th Brigade's artillery piece that just shot at them. They hit that battery with a solid blast, doing 2 casualties. They'll take a discipline check, looking for a 7. They will fail that and go unformed. Oh no! Alright, now we got the guns up here on the hill. Firing in. They don't have to. There's no guns shooting at them, so they're going to fire straight ahead at these gentlemen. Actually, they're going to fire at the Bavarians again and get bounced through into the other. Not Bavarians, Hungarians. Everyone's got some Hungarian fear. They get a little fatigue casualty. They have 1 casualty now. The shot misses the front unit, but the bounce through blasts away probably 25, 30 guys over here. Doing some casualties on the far end, and then that's on the trailing battalion. And then the last French guns counter battery against the Australians. I hate those Australians. The Austrians up on the hill. Inferior blast is no casualties with a 6. That'll end turn 2. Just trucking right along into turn 3. It's going into 2 p.m. Alright, welcome to turn 3. Let's do ADCs for both sides of the simultaneously. Forgot to roll one extra blue die, or one. I was rolling one die short for the blue side for the French. Let me roll one more. Once again, both sides end up with 4 ADCs aside. The Austrians won initiative by a gift last turn, so we'll do their assign their ADCs first. They'll try the same action as last time and do skirmisher, reroll, skirmisher, reroll, and good luck. Everything is active for Hardegg's boys, all 4 brigades, and we'll go ahead and the French will do the same thing as they did. They're lacking originality here, I guess, but it seems to work. Skirmishers here, skirmishers there, and good luck. The French almost also hit a home run and everything's active, so both sides will roll 2d6 for initiative. Alright, Hardegg beats out Serurier for initiative, and the Austrians, boom. That's what they're going to go first. And I don't think there's any charges happening this turn. So we'll go right into movement. Austrians moving first. Alright, the French stayed rather static. 2nd Brigade advanced, skirmish line moved forward. The French skirmishers kind of gave ground. 7th Brigade keeping pace with them moving up alongside. 1st Brigade starting to move forward to provide rear support in a heavy column. And then these gentlemen in 3rd Brigade just basically trying to keep these guys honest over here and just kind of moved a little bit forward, but nothing aggressive. Keeping their skirmishers out of range. And French are more than happy to comply over here, not moving at all yet. Alright, that's all I got. These guys were kind of, they could have moved, but they're just kind of holding their ground right now. Waiting to get sent in as a reserve, and they're in an attack column if needed. We'll go into skirmish shooting. We'll start off with these gentlemen here. They'll have, well, they normally would have 4 shots, but they have the skirmish tasking, so they're shooting 6 shots. Nice shooting as they inflict 2 casualties onto the Leger skirmish screen. We pan to their left. These gentlemen firing into the woods would have 6 shots too, but dropping down to 5 because of the cover for the French skirmishers. They put a 2nd casualty on those French in the trees. Those French have skirmish tasking too, but they have 4 bases, so they're going to fire back with a big old 7 shots. Holy cow, great shooting. They put 2 casualties on them, and they force a discipline check. They'll be looking for a 7 to see if they can pass. They fail that, they're going to go unformed and take an extra casualty and lose an entire base down to 2. And then the final skirmish shooting with these French Leger screen, firing 7 shots back at the Jaegers. Smoke them if you got them. They blast them. 2 casualties of them as well. Nice shooting. Alright, into the artillery phase. Sorry about my measuring stick or tape measure out in the middle of the battlefield. I'll get rid of that in a second. Austrian guns on the far right, firing across the valley at these gentlemen. I don't even know what direction, compass direction we're looking here. Had to think about that a minute. That's north of Reinsdorf there. Those are those French guns up there. They're going to fire a long-range shot across at them. Great shot. Putting 2 casualties onto that 1st Brigade's artillery battery. They need 2 casualties. They take a discipline check now, looking for a 7. Holy cow! They break under that firepower. They're able to. The teams come up and they get the cannons that aren't damaged. Probably the 5 remaining guns, and hook them up and they boogie. So that artillery batteries retreated back to the main French line at Zwickau, excuse me, and they're out of this battle. The other Austrian batteries combine firepower and shoot at that French battery in the trees. They're both going to be firing weak artillery fire. Both of those guns blast away into the French, doing 2 casualties to them. French are going to fire back. They have 4 casualties now. They're going to shoot at this battery with inferior artillery fire. They're able to inflict a casualty onto 7th Brigade's guns. Take that, sucker. Alright, these guns here, they're going to fire straight ahead, right at these gentlemen here, do bounce through into 1st Brigade, 7th, 1st Battalion, 7th Brigade, and 3rd Battalion, 7th Brigade. The artillery still at long range, has no effect at all on that. And that's the end of the artillery phase and the end of turn 3. We'll go on to turn 4 and we'll roll ADCs here in a minute. Alright, it's turn 4, 2:30 p.m. Do initiative. Not initiative, sorry about that. ADC availability for both divisions. I did forget, with the artillery getting blown off the map, Bertrand did falter 1st Brigade for the French. So they have a faltering brigade. They only get 1 ADC on that roll, which was terrible. Serurier is immediately going to blow his chief of staff, one of his CNC commands. Re-roll 4 of those dice and get an extra 2 ADCs. Serurier ends up with 7 ADCs. That's pretty awesome. Austrian's going to go first, allocating their ADCs and seeing if their divisions are following or their brigades are following command. With the 3 ADCs, Hardegg is going to give Wimpfen in the 2nd Brigade right here another skirmish tasking plus a reroll, and then he'll do a reroll on this 7th Brigade right here. Everything's following commands for the Austrians. Let's go over here with the 7 ADCs for the French and see what Serurier has planned. I'm going to count along, and if I pause, I'm totally screwing up. We're going to get the 1 penalty here for Bertrand being a faltering brigade. He's going to get a reroll, which takes up 2. Couture with the 2nd Brigade is going to get a reroll. Plus he's going to get a skirmisher, so he's up to 4. Then an artillery assault with his guns right here. That gets 6. And then we'll do a re-roll on Gilbert. So keep an eye on the red dice because they'll be the morale, the divisional morale for these, or sorry, basically the morale for these guys not to break. Sorry, it's called a faltering command roll, or faltering brigade command roll. So everybody passes. Bertrand goes hesitant. Couture is following commands and gets his skirmish tasking. Artillery here gets an artillery assault, and these other guys are good to go. The French have one hesitant brigade, so they'll be rolling 3d6, and the Austrians are rolling 2d6. Alright, Serurier pulls out the initiative, beats Hardegg that time, and no charges from either side. So we'll go into skirmish firing first. Oh, movement first, excuse me about that. And French moving first. I'm not sure how much they're going to move. Alright, these gentlemen held firm. They didn't move this turn. They're going to get their skirmish shooting off and hope they can survive. These guys, skirmish screen was down to 2. They retreated back inside of their parent unit. They moved forward into this space. Those skirmishers are in the trees over there. The French did not move at all, and there was no movement on the left-hand side. The Grenadier Brigade moved up slightly, 6 inches, just to keep pace with these gentlemen as they go on in, preparing for the whack-a-mole down here in the center. All right, that's what we got. We'll get into skirmish shooting now, and the French will be firing first. These gentlemen were in a hesitant brigade. No skirmish tasking this time. Just 5 shots coming at the Jaegers. Alright, they're able to inflict 1 casualty onto that Jaeger screen, which blows away a base, taking them down to 2. So this will be their last turn around town. These gentlemen in the woods are going to fire at this Austrian line battalion here. They do have the skirmish tasking. They have 4 bases. So they'll have 7 shots shooting at these gentlemen up front. They do 2 casualties to that Austrian line battalion there. That's the end of the French skirmish shooting. These Jaegers have skirmish tasking. They have 2 bases. They'll get 5 shots back at the Leger. They inflict a casualty, knocking off a skirmish base from those guys, knocking them down to 3. Skirmish shooting's done. We'll go into French. We'll get a artillery assault from that battery there. I gotta check the range to these gentlemen. Alright, these guys would be an ideal target, but they're within 12 inches of them. So that's out. They're not shooting them. So they're gonna go ahead and blast these guys here and get bounced through into these gentlemen. And they're within effective range. First Battalion, 7th Brigade gets absolutely murdered. They take 5 casualties. The bounce through hits 3rd Battalion, 2nd Brigade. They go up to 2 casualties. These guys have to take a discipline check as they get hammered. Despite that pounding, those guys go ahead and make their discipline check. That's awesome. And then these guns over here, the battery's going to fire once again at that same gun they've been wearing out with inferior battery fire. Nickel and Diamond, these guys, they're up to 4 casualties now. These 2 guns will fire back at that French battery in the trees, both with weak battery fire. They both have no effect. I got to check the range that these guns can. Well, yeah, they can see them. Yeah, these are elevated 9-pounders at 60 inches. They are in range. They're going to go ahead and fire on those French guns on the hill. They end up doing 1 casualty to those gentlemen, raising them to 2, and that will end turn 4. It's going to be turn 5, 3 p.m. The Civiliards cavalry of the under Hardegg is now in range of the battlefield and can be called on with an ADC tasking to come onto the battlefield next turn if needed. Turn 5. Here we go. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Austrians about to make contact with the French line. I'm going to try to do this in echelon attack this turn. Hopefully I can get these gentlemen to, from what everyone's told me, you're supposed to start with the side with the secure flank. Not quite secure, but secure enough. And then we'll go from there. Maybe I'll get lucky. Alright, Serurier gets 4 ADCs. Hardegg only gets 2. He's going to go ahead and use his Chief of Staff blowing his first CNC command. Rerolling all 4 he missed. So the Austrians will have 8 ADCs and the French will have 4. Definitely a good time to try to launch this attack. Alright, here we go. French are going to try another artillery assault over here with a reroll. And then just a reroll over here. Actually, we'll just go with the skirmish tasking without a reroll for Bertrand. Gilbert goes hesitant. The artillery assault will go off. Skirmish tasking's on point, and these guys are active also over here. One thing I have to remember is these guns won't be able to fire to long range because they are part of this brigade here. Austrians are going all in on Wimpfen. He's getting a reroll, a glory, an infantry assault, a forwards tasking, an artillery assault on his battery, and they'll use their last ADC over here with Clausen for a reroll. Schneller with the Grenadier Brigade feels left out, so he gets all pouty and does not follow commands. He goes hesitant. That'll wipe out his guns over here. They won't be able to fire to long range either. But the mega attack over here on the right will go in without a hitch. Both sides will be rolling 3d6, taking the lower 2 for initiative. The French will win initiative. We'll go into the charge phase. The French don't have any. The Austrians say yes, thank you very much, and we'll see a massive shift here from Wimpfen with the extra movement from the forwards and the glory and the infantry assault. He's going to do a little bit of maneuvering. I think they can maneuver with the forwards tasking. This is a rules question. Usually when you charge, you have to charge straight ahead. I think they can do pre-maneuvering and wheeling with the forwards tasking movement. We'll go ahead and roll that bonus now. Which isn't a ton. I don't think you could use that to, like, if say you got a monster move, you couldn't move out to someone's flank and then charge in on the on their flank attack. But I think you can realign a little bit. These guys are going to use their forwards bonus to push out to the right a little bit. These guys, the Hungarians, are going to charge in. They'll take the skirmishers will be able to fire at them before they withdraw behind the rest of the brigade. So they are light infantry. No, who cares? They're skirmishers. They would get 4 shots normally, but they get 2 more for infantry assault. They'll fire 6 shots into these gentlemen here. Alright, they take a casualty from that skirmish shooting as those guys fall back behind the brigade. The Bavarians rush forward, and at the 3-inch mark, the light infantry of the French open fire with a well-disciplined volley. The Hungarians are up to 3 casualties now. They did take 2 more casualties on the way in, so they're up to 5. That's 3 on the charge, so they will take a negative. They'll add an extra die for the charge, and we'll take care of that right now. Just in case somebody implodes on this charge, I thought I'd take some pictures. Very cinematic moment here in turn 5. Here comes the Austrian attack with the Hungarians going crazy. Alright, the Hungarians will be rolling 3 dice, taking a lower 2. The Hungarians will have 2 re-rolls because of guys off to their right and left. One to the right and 1 behind them. And the Léger will just have 1 support. Now the Léger are Grenadier. Just got to double check that doesn't count as an extra reroll because they're Grenadier versus line. It does. It gets an extra reroll for the French. So both sides will have 2 rerolls. The The Hungarians start off with about as bad as you can get. Two double ones, a double one. Nowhere to go but up. The Leger at 7 right now. Hungarians re-rolling any one of their ones, their choice. Alright, the Hungarians have a 5 and a 1 now. They're going to re-roll that other 1 they have with their second re-roll as their flank battalion goes charging in to assist the attack. This flank company of Austrians do awesome. They get in there, they go from worst to first with an 11. French re-rolling their 1. See what they can do. Their rear support gets involved. They were going to get ready to fall back onto their gusto training, but they end up tying it up. No point trying to re-roll an 11. Those guys will go to hand at the end of the turn. Oh, what a brawl. Alright, with the charge phase done, we'll go into movement. French moving first. Alright, for movement, Claus's brigade move forward, engage these Leger, or part of the brigade over here. They're also the 2nd and 4th battalion of the 7th brigade move forward and engage those French right there. The Grenadier brigade back here for the Austrians was hesitant, but their skirmishers moved forward to engage the French skirmishers in the trees just to take some fire off these gentlemen here. And out here on the left, these guys continue to just hang out. They're focusing the attack right here, trying not to let, if you get too many attacks going on, just don't have enough orders to keep it going on, so you can't use a chief of staff every time. But so far, maybe an echelon attack. Got the, these guys rolled in first, they're on the far right. These guys rolling in second. Not a lot of, don't have a lot of room for the third attack. Just gonna probably use the Grenadiers as support. And we still have the 2 Prussian brigades off turn, plus a cavalry brigade off table that will be available at some point here. Alright, we go into skirmish shooting. Only these gentlemen here, I think, are blasting away at each other. Alright, so the French firing out of the trees for skirmish tasking. Be 5 shots at these Jaegers. Jaegers take a casualty. They're going to fire back with 4 shots because they're firing into those trees. Well, that's not good. No effect on the French in the trees. Alright, we'll go on into artillery. These French guns are going to have to counter battery fire. I could try a discipline check, but they'll go ahead and fire back at these guys. Try to blast them with artillery assault. They do a casualty on them. The other French battery can't fire to long range, so they can't shoot. We'll go down here to these gentlemen. This guy on the right can't fire to long range because they're hesitant, so they're not shooting. And this other battery will fire a single CD across at those gentlemen in the trees. These guns have been on fire with these weak blasts. They do 1 casualty to them, they're up to 5 casualties, and then the final Austrian battery with artillery assault up on the hill fired long range against the French guns over here to the, I forgot what compass direction we're looking. I think it's south of Reinsdorf. So that was kind of a mixed bag nightmare. The artillery of the Austrians goes, they take a fatigue casualty. They go low on ammo, but one of the casualty dice does actually hits. So those gentlemen go to 3 up there. These guys are at 2, and that ends the artillery phase. We go into volley fire, starting with the French over here, firing a well-disciplined, nope, sorry, not those guys, they're in hand-to-hand, I apologize. Starting with these gentlemen here, firing a well-disciplined volley against these Austrians. An absolutely devastating volley to the Austrians. Oh, we'll get a double 6, a discipline check, an extra casualty for the CD hitting from being well disciplined. They already had 5 casualties. Let's see where they're at. They jump up to 10 casualties. Half the battalion falls to the ground dead. Everyone's running everywhere. They got to take a discipline check as the officers try to keep it together in the face of this onslaught from the Légers. They fail that. They go unformed, and now they take the destiny roll. That has no effect because they're not in combat with Elan and they don't have any casualties. So the Légers just celebrate their victory. Those guys will be retreating to the second line with the quickness. Alright, the second French, these guys are not Légers there. They're just, yeah, that might be a reserve unit. They're going to blast into these Austrians with just a volley. I thought that was going to be another double six again. 7 equals, let me take a look real quick. I've already committed to filming this. 2 casualties to the Austrians, up to 4 now. Alright, that ends the French volley fire phase. These gentlemen now are unformed with 10 casualties shooting back after moving. It's just going to be a single CD it's after 2 negative modifiers. They suffer 1 casualty from that blast, and then these gentlemen who moved up against these Légers will fire against them, and you don't get the bonus for being a large battalion in line unless you're not moving, I believe. They do 1 casualty to that reservist battalion, and now we get into the hand-to-hand over here as the Austrians with glory going against the Légers Grenadiers. Alright, so it'll be 6 dice for the Austrians, 5 for the French, and we'll see what happens. Looking for 4, 5s, and 6s. Alright, Austrians win the hand-to-hand. They take 3 casualties, they're up to 8. They take the ground, they're unformed. The Légers retreat back into Reinsdorf. They're in retreat status. They have 4 casualties. They're back there. They unformed their sister battalion as they went through them. So they are unformed. And now we've got Austrians or Hungarians right here, Légers here, and retreating unit back there garrisoning the town. And that'll end turn 5. Clock ticks to 3:30. And boom, things are happening at Reinsdorf. Loving it. Let's get into ADC availability for turn 6. Alright, welcome to turn 6. 3:30 p.m. Austrians rolling 6 ADC availability, and then the French will be rolling 5. Hardegg is going to have 3 ADCs, and Serurier is going to have 4. Alright, French won initiative last turn, so they will get to go first. Serurier is going to stick with his same game plan he's been using. Artillery assault down here, and a reroll for 2nd Brigade, and then it's a reroll on 1st Brigade. Same order, same result. Gilbert once again goes hesitant, and we'll get this battery will not fire to long range. Everything else is following commands. That retreat will come off those gentlemen in the village, and they'll become unformed. with his 3 ADCs. Hardegg is just going to do a reroll, and a reroll as he concentrates on this en echelon attack that I'm completely slaughtering. He's also going to spend a caisson to remove the low ammo on this battery over here. Wimpfen with 1st Brigade will go hesitant, and everything else will be active for the Austrians. Both sides rolling 3 dice for initiative, taking the lower 2. Hardegg will win initiative. Yay. And sorry, I was trying to think of something there and it just kind of didn't happen. No charges this turn. The Austrians will move first. So the Austrians could move up on the right over here. These gentlemen held, they're going to get into a close range volley fire, not moving anywhere. These Grenadier Brigade moved forward, kept their Jaegers out engaging these guys here. No movement on this side over here. Just give you a little overhead view. I haven't done one of those in this battle. Might have to do one at the end. The big thing was the French. Their Léger battalion faded into the trees. They're grenadiers, so they can form skirmish order in the woods, and they were joined by 3 bases of their skirmish screen. So dug in the woods, taking on these guys. Not going to be good. All right, sounds good. We're getting to skirmish shooting, and oh yes, the Austrians do have some skirmishers. These Jaegers will fire 4 shots into these light infantry in the trees. All right, they do a good job shooting. That was nice. They do 2 casualties on those Léger in the trees, blowing away a base, putting on an extra casualty. That's the end of the Austrian skirmish shooting phase. The French in here will fire back with 4 shots against the Jaegers. Oh, no effect. They're a little bit staggered by that ferocious Jaeger fire. All right, in here, French Léger in skirmish order, plus 3 bases of from the skirmish screen will fire at these guys with some combo fire. They stagger them with 3 casualties. They're up to 11 now. They're a large unit, so they can take it, but they're looking a bit like, I think definitely next turn, if we can follow commands, we're going to do a retreat to the 2nd line and let these gentlemen from the 4th Battalion get into the action a little bit, because these guys up front are about toast. They're pretty awesome for Hungarians, but they're getting smoked. Skirmish fire's done. These Austrian guns can't shoot because they're hesitant. And then over here to the left, these 2 Austrian guns will both fire a single CD at these French guns in the trees. These Austrian guns have been awesome. Bango, 2 more casualties on them. 7 casualties on them. Those guns are in a hesitant brigade, so they cannot return fire. We do have this battery in the center here that will fire artillery assault, long range, counter battery style across the valley against these gentlemen. Alright, they hit them for 1 more casualty. They're up to 3. We'll go into volley fire. These Austrians are worn and firing at skirmishers in line. Oh gosh, I think it does a single CD. They will target. They're going to target the skirmish screen, try to take them out, because there's only 3 of them left. I don't even think they can affect them because they are worn, which is 1 negative. They're firing at skirmishers, that's 2. And they're firing at skirmishers and trees, so I think it's no effect. They just fire and it goes into nowhere. So no effect there. We will get these gentlemen next to them from the 1st Battalion, 7th Brigade. They have 10 casualties and they're unformed. They would have reformed in the movement phase. Sorry. So they're going to be worn, or yeah, that's right. And they're going to phone is. I gotta get my phone muted. Hang on. Sorry about that. It was in a group chat with my wife and my 4 daughters. Actually, my son was in there too, so it was a whole family group chat. Oh, my daughter's Jeep just blew up this morning, so we're trying to. It didn't literally blow up. Just I think it head gasket went. So it's we're gonna get that towed off to a junkyard, and my son sells cars, so he's looking for it, and she's just begging for certain types of cars, but she just can't be a beggar and chooser right now. So enough of that. Sorry about that. Back to the battle. We're leaving 2026 and going back to 1813. Just explaining when my phone was having a seizure there. I apologize for the noise. It's on mute now. All right, so we've got a worn unit. That's one negative modifier. Firing into, and they move, so they can't get the +10 thing. They'll fire into a légère with an inferior volley. All right, they inflict a casualty on them. We'll slide to the left, and we'll get the 2nd Battalion, 7th Brigade, firing a beastly volley. They did not move, so they get the extra CD for being a large battalion in line against the French reservists. Reserve Battalion gets lucky there as the Austrians have a hard time coordinating fire. Their officers are on the struggle bus. All right, reservists firing back. All right, they just get a regular good old volley. They inflict 2 casualties on them, taking them up to 6. They are now worn. And now this could be a death blow as the légère unload a well-disciplined volley into these gentlemen with the extra CD. They take some more. They go up to 13. That unit disperses at 15, being large. That's kind of nice, being a huge unit. So they will, I got to remember to retreat to the 2nd line with a couple of these units. We've got 1 at 11 and 1 at 13 here for the Austrians as they're getting nickeled and dimed. Well, actually not. They're getting pounded by French infantry fire. All right. Whew. That'll end. Yeah, that'll end turn 6. We go into turn 7. It's 4 p.m. Oh, you guys are awesome. I'm going to go tow some cars around and look for new cars. See ya. Alright, welcome to turn 7. 4 p.m. Time to roll for ADC availability for both sides. Alright, the Austrians, or now it's the coalition, get 2 ADCs. They're going to bring in Liechtenstein's 5th Brigade with their artillery battery of Prussians onto the table and give them an extra ADC for a forwards tasking. That'll be their 2 ADCs, and that's it. French have 4. I think they'll do the same thing as last turn, where they'll do a artillery assault over there with a reroll for that brigade. And then the last one will be a skirmish tasking on the légère and the light infantry battalion in the woods with skirmish tasking. Austrians will go first, and they'll have an extra brigade now coming on. Everything's active for the Austrians and Prussians now, and let's go over to the French, see how they do with their orders. They almost get Yahtzee. Everything's working out for them as well. All right. Let's initiative-wise, both sides be rolling 2d6. French will win. That's good for Serurier. And now he'll do. Let's do the forwards bonus for the Prussians because we're gonna. There's no charging. We're right into the movement phase. All right, they'll come on an extra 11 inches to their move. We'll do that in the reserve movement phase after everyone else has moved. French moving first. All right, cool things are happening. Prussians send in 3 line battalions and 1 reserve battalion under Liechtenstein. They also get an artillery battery that joined that battery up on the hill over there. The French kind of moved and consolidated here in the center, and then they also moved up their line battalions, kind of pushing the envelope here. I think the plan is to overload these woods with skirmishers and then put fire onto the French, onto the Austrians. Possibly pincer movement, possible frontal artillery attack. All things are bad. We might give it a whirl. And then, yeah, that's what I got going on. Those guys remained in the garrison. They stayed in the trees. Nothing really moved here. The Austrians did big things. Well, I got to move that. Those guys moved forward too. These guys retreated to the second line, passed through them. These guys retreated through them, passed through them. These guys retreated through them, passed through them. So fresh line units, but who have moved on the front line. Be right back when I move those guys closer as they can engage the skirmishers in the trees. Alright, skirmish shooting happens first. French firing prior to the Austrians. These guys are going to do their combo fire. The light infantry battalion in skirmish order does have the skirmish task, and they'll be throwing 7 dice, 4 from the other guys. They're going to pour it all on into these the new 2nd Battalion of the Hungarian regiment. They throw 4 casualties into those gentlemen. Wow, great shooting. They do force a discipline check, looking for a 7. They passed that discipline check, but they're up to 5 casualties. Over here, we've got these gentlemen in the woods. They've got 3 bases left, firing at the Jaeger with 4 shots. They throw a 2nd casualty into them. That'll end the French skirmish shooting. We'll get the Jaegers firing with 5, actually it goes down to 4, back at the French in the trees. They raise those gentlemen to 2 casualties in the woods. They'll need some help, but those skirmishers should be in there next turn with them. That ends skirmish shooting. We go into artillery fire. French artillery first. These gentlemen are they have artillery assault or assault fire. They're going to fire at the same unit that's been hit. They've been hit before with the 2 extra CDs. They hit those Austrian gunners hard. 3 casualties, forcing a discipline check, saving his reservists. They fail that as they get pounded, become unformed. That'll affect their counter battery fire. Prussians just came in. They cannot shoot. They're unlimbering. These gentlemen will fire back with 1 CD. Oh, they miss. I forgot to do the French gun over here. I'm going to just stop right there with those guys. That's not going to affect this at all, but they miss over here. That French gun's up to 7 casualties. They're going to fire a single CD back at these guys. They miss, and then these guys have been in fuego. They're both going to fire at that battery over there with a single CD each. These gunners missed the mark. These guys take a fatigue casualty. That ends artillery fire. We'll go into volley fire now with the French firing first. Start with this Leger unit here. They have not moved. They have 2 casualties. They are grenadier. They'll fire an extra with a discipline, well-disciplined volley with an extra CD against the Austrians. Leger have been on fire. They put 5 casualties onto those Austrians. Ouch. They'll force a discipline check, looking for a 7. They passed that. Now we'll get this reservist unit of French firing at these Austrians in line. These French infantry are fighting like demons. They put 3 casualties on those gentlemen, forcing a discipline check, looking for a 7. Austrians are made of stout stuff. Yes, they kind of tank that. They're fine. These gentlemen will fire back. They don't get the extra CD because they did move with the passage of lines. And yeah, just regular standard volley. They hammer those reservists for 3 casualties. They'll be looking for an 8 to pass a discipline check. Those reservists could dish out the damage, but they couldn't take it. They fail that, they retreat. They unform the unit behind them. And, oof, that's rough. Alright, now this other Austrian line battalion, they did move as well. They're going to fire a standard volley straight ahead into these Légers. They put a casualty onto them. And then these gentlemen and these gentlemen both fire a single CD at that skirmish line. They put a casualty on those 3 remaining bases of the Légers skirmish screen, and that'll end turn 7. We'll go on to turn 8. It's 4:30 p.m. Alright, let's do ADCs. Turn 8. It's 4:30 p.m. Here we go. Hardegg gets 4 ADCs and Serurier gets 5. Alright, let's proceed. French won initiative last turn, so they will allocate first. Skirmish tasking and a reroll on 1st Brigade. And then this brigade here will get the artillery assault and a reroll. Godard goes hesitant while everything else is active for the French. Their 1 retreating unit will become unformed as they pass their the brigade order. All right, we'll go over to the Austrians with their 4 ADCs. They'll do a reserve tasking with an extra dice for 4th Brigade for the Savoyard to bring in the cavalry brigade. And then they'll do a reroll on 1st and 7th, or 1st and 4th Brigade. Alright, or 7th Brigade. Sorry. Greth, he doubles down on what Godard does, and this entire southern flank goes hesitant. They're not really doing much. These guys are out. They're checked out. I don't think they're even not getting sent orders anymore. Besides the artillery is just like fire. We'll see what happens later, but right now I'm just kind of concentrating on the center. Alright, everything else is active for the Austrians. Both sides rolling 3d6, taking a lower 2 for initiative. Serurier wins initiative for the French. And I don't think anyone's charging. No one's charging. So go right into movement. We'll go ahead and roll the cavalry bonus movement for their forwards tasking. They're not too interested in coming on, but they're going to do it. Well, now we're getting a little stupid. Savoyard comes in with his 1 cuirassier regiment, 2 dragoon regiments, the 1st and 2nd. French did a lot of weird stuff in here. Austrians kind of held, oh, these retreats are gone. Sorry, forgot about that. These 3 retreats are gone. Just doing some housekeeping while you're watching. I'll have to fly around the battlefield if I missed anything else. These guys reformed, but they all count as moved. See their cavalry moving in down there. Prussians advanced, pivoted to the right a little bit, looking for a gap. These guys are just holding still to increase their firepower. These guys continue to garrison. With them contracting after this battalion retreated, there was more room, so that unit, reservist unit, moved up and formed a line with the recruits. There were other recruit battalion fell in behind them to support if they're attacked. These gentlemen moved up into the gap. They created an attack column that was they were able to project their skirmishers into the trees to join the other skirmishers from Couture's 2nd Brigade. These guys didn't move. These guys, after they got their retreat status gone, and they reformed, and they're back there. They can start moving up next turn. I think that's it. So a lot of crazy stuff going on. A lot of firepower coming down the line. And let's get some pictures. I've done a lot of overheads this game, starting behind the Austrians and Prussians. They close in on Reinsdorf. These guys are, there's the cavalry coming on. These guys are kind of just holding out here, not wasting resources. The windmill, providing power. Who knows what they're doing? Probably making bread. Maybe pretzels. That'd be cool. I gotta go for a pretzel right now. French line on the right, south side. French line unit moving up. Can't cross over the midline. You get the very thin French line. Bowing a little bit. Trying to hold out. Anchored into these woods and then on this river outside of Reinsdorf. Alright, let's get to it. Skirmish shooting. French firing first. Alright, these guys are going to combo fire again. The Léger in skirmish order have the skirmish tasking. They'll get 7 shots. Those other guys will get 4. They'll both fire into this battalion here. Cooling off a little bit. They dropped down to 7 casualties on that one. They dropped down to 2 casualties, getting them to 7. They are worn now. These guys in the trees, they have 1 skirmish screen with 3, I believe, and then 1 with 4. So they're both going to fire into this Jaeger screen. Alright, they're able to inflict 2 casualties on them, blowing away a skirmish screen, and then leaving 1 extra casualty on another base. Boom. Alright, those Jaegers going to fire back. They would have 4 shots, dropping down to 3. They're going to keep firing on the depleted screen. Alright, they inflict a casualty, blowing away the 1 screen. They're down to 2 bases. They'll be recalled in the movement phase next turn. These guys arrive just in time to reinforce that line. Hold the woods against the Jaegers. Alright, that ends skirmish shooting. Go into artillery. French guns first. Start on the hill with artillery assault. They'll shoot across at these guys with 6 casualties. A long-range blast. This 1 casualty, those Austrian guns, raising them to 7. The other French battery is going to fire on these gentlemen with a single CD because they are worn. Miss. Now these 2 guns are going to fire back at that guns in the trees with a single CD. In Fuego, 2 more casualties. They're up to 9. Serurier is already looking over his shoulder, sending an ADC back to his artillery park to bring up some guns. He'll be activating one of his caissons, I'm sure, next turn to get some extra guns online over there to keep up the fire. Alright, that'll not end artillery fire. These 2 guns will both fire. One will fire a single CD, and the Prussian guns will fire I think it's inferior, right? Correct. They'll fire an inferior fire against the French guns on the hill. Holy cow, these guys are not doing so well. They're going to go up to 8 casualties with fire discipline and no effect. Hardegg will be dispatching some of his last caisson to the from the artillery park to that battery to keep them in action. Okay, now we get into musket fire. These bad boy Légier, I don't want to talk smack because they might not do good this turn. They're going to fire a well-disciplined volley into these Austrians in front of them. In the famous words of the philosopher Britney Spears, oops, I did it again. They smoke them. 4 more casualties. They're up to 9. Taking a discipline check. They're saving as reservists, looking for an 8. These French recruits, they're firing their first shots of this battle. They're going to fire on these gentlemen here. See how they do? Holy cow, they went to Special Forces school. They unload on the Austrians. Austrians jumped to 7 casualties. They've got to make a discipline check as reservists. Looking for an 8. Oh, they love it. And now we get a second, but this is a reserve unit who stepped up. They did move, so they aren't going to get any bonuses. They fire into those Austrians as well. They put 2 more casualties on them, raising them to 9. Oh, they're getting hammered. Or they're going to return fire. They're going to blast the recruit battalion and try to break their soul. But it will be an inferior blast with 1 extra CD. They put 3 casualties on those recruits. Nice shooting. I think I forgot to fire. I forgot to shoot the extra CD for these guys down here. I might have to give them an extra die when they fire at those skirmishers. And now we'll get these gentlemen firing. They'll also fire an inferior blast because they have 9 casualties. They put 2 more casualties onto them. They're up to 5. And then we'll get both of these line battalions will fire. Oh, I forgot. Those guys have 0 effect. They have 7 casualties now. They can't do anything. So I will let them fire 1 single CD because I didn't last turn. These guys will fire a CD plus an extra another CD. So here we go. That's good work as they do 2 casualties onto the skirmish screen of the Légier, knocking off a base. They're down to 2 bases. They will be recalled next turn. And that'll end turn 8. We'll go into turn 9. It's 5 p.m. This game will end at turn 14. So, they're doing pretty good, but no chance, and they might have to move a little bit faster. Let's see what old Hardegg can do, and Serurier is doing a great job. A lot of casualties. Loving the close quarters musketry is fun. What a blast. All right, guys, you're awesome. See you in a minute. Alright, it's turn 9. Let's roll some ADC availability for both sides. Alright, Serurier gets 3 ADCs while Hardegg gets 5. Oof, French will be allocating first because they won initiative last turn. They're going to get simple here. Rerolls on 1st Brigade, 2nd Brigade, and 5th Brigade. 3rd Brigade, let's hope that's not an omen for the future. They're on their own. It was an omen. That sucks. Gilbert, Ghost Hesitant. I'm sorry, buddy. Not Gilbert, Godard, down there on the south side. So sweet! And yeah, that's it. So they'll be rolling 3d6 for initiative for the French. The coalition has 4 ADCs. What to do? Also, Serurier used a caisson over there on that artillery battery over there. And Hardegg's going to use his last one over here. Coalition's going to do rerolls on 2nd Brigade, 7th Brigade, 1st Brigade. Holy cow. So that's 3. Now I have 1 left. And probably 4th Brigade, which is the cavalry. Let's see how this goes. That's a repeat of last turn with the hesitant down here. I did make a mistake last time. I fired this battery that shouldn't have fired to long range. So neither one of these guns are going to fire this turn, just to kind of make up the difference for them both blasting away last turn. Both sides rolling 3d6 for initiative, taking the lower 2. 4-4. French win ties, so French get initiative this turn. Alright, there are no charges. We'll go into the movement phase. Not a lot of movement this turn. The French did have to withdraw 2 skirmish screens that were down to 2 bases. And the cavalry started shifting to the left. Not sure if this is going to be a good move, but going in front of the guns is stupid. Sitting there is stupid, so try something else. Didn't know what to do there. I brought him on for some reason. I don't know why. Alright. And that is the end of movement phase. Next up is skirmish shooting. We'll get this Leger battalion in skirmish formation firing straight ahead with 5 shots. They raise that 2nd Hungarian battalion to 8 casualties. And then we'll get this French skirmish screen here firing 5 shots at these 3 Jaeger bases. Nice shooting, doing 2 casualties, removing a skirmish base. They're down to 2. They'll withdraw next movement phase. They'll fire back those Jaegers with 2 shots. No effect. We'll go on to artillery. French guns firing across. They're going to try to damage these gentlemen here they've been wearing on, but they did bring up extra guns. The Austrians did, and they're up to 6. They're down to 6 casualties from the 8 they had. They go up to 7 casualties now as they take that hit. The other gun over there for the French can't fire. Neither of these guns can fire, and these guns will fire back at that gentleman or that battery. The Prussian guns will do an inferior battery fire. The Austrians will just do 1 CD of weak battery fire. French batteries up to 4 casualties now. They won't be able to do assault fire unless given a caisson, and the French have 1 of those left. Going into volley fire, the Leger battalion with 5 casualties fire a well-disciplined volley into these beat down Austrians that have 9 casualties. Those guys go up to 12 casualties. They get hammered by the Leger. Now we'll get the recruit battalion firing into this Austrian line battalion with 9 casualties. They take 1 casualty from that. Then they're going to get hit again from this reservist battalion to their left. They bang up to 12 casualties. Not good. They're going to try to shoot back at the recruits with a weak volley. Or inferior volley, excuse me. They go up to 4. Now we'll get this line They'll fire an inferior volley straight ahead with an extra CD. Léger battalion goes up to 6. These gentlemen, the Hungarians, can't do no effect against the guys in skirmish order in the woods because they have 8 casualties. These gentlemen over here will fire a single die and a weak volley with an extra CD. And they get a single CD of, they get a single CD. That's their first casualty. Wow. Alright. Boom. So that'll end turn 9. We'll go to turn 10. It's 5:30. It's time for some of these Austrian frontline units to start getting out of the way. Maybe form into attack column and allow these Prussians and Grenadier battalions to come to grips with the French. Hope they've done some damage, because they don't. These guys are going to start causing faltering units here in a minute. Woof. I think I'm also going to move these guys over here into attack column to allow room for the cavalry to get through. Maybe start an attack on the from the coalition left as well. We'll see. All right. See you at 5:30 for turn 10. Alright, welcome to turn 10, 5:30 p.m. Things got to start happening for the coalition. Time to push it. Push it. Alright, let's do ADC availability. Alright, the Austrians, the coalition ends up with 5 ADCs, and the French will end up with 4. Alright, the French are going to do, on Bertrand, they're going to do a reroll and 2 skirmish taskings. They're going to do, and then their final ADC will be on Couture, and he'll do, actually, you know what? Yeah, no, the final one will be on Gilbert. Changing that. Bertrand is going to get a skirmish task and a reroll, and so will Gilbert. Skirmish task and a reroll. That's all 4 ADCs. Once again, Godard stays hesitant. Not interested. Alright, and then the Austrians, or the coalition with their 5 ADCs. Let me think about it. Are they putting a reroll on 2nd Brigade, 7th Brigade, 5th Brigade, 1st Brigade, and a reserve tasking to bring in the last Prussian brigade. Ooh, it looked worse than it was. What's that? Wimpfen over there at 2nd Brigade goes hesitant. Everything else is active. Both sides rolling 3d6, taking the lower 2 for initiative. Wow, the French just missed getting a CNC command, an extra one. They rolled 2 6s and a 5. Awesome. They'll maintain initiative. Serurier is on fire. No charges. We'll go right into movement with on-table movement first. French going first. Alright, this one's going to take a flight across the battlefield with the pointer. All right, we're starting in Reinsdorf. This battalion kind of moved out and moved into the woods. We were able to form into skirmish order. They came out, right? They were unformed when they came out. They were into skirmish order in there in the trees. These guys shifted to the left. So we got two Leger battalions now occupying these woods to the northeast of Reinsdorf. Those gentlemen stayed firm. That unit right there of the skirmish tasking. These guys held firm. These gentlemen just kind of moved up to support some more. These guys stayed alone. These guys, sensing a threat, they were hesitant, but they could change formation. They moved into attack column. Moving around the table. See, that's the theme of the whole battle, is move to attack column. Austrians just changed formation to attack column, didn't move. Cavalry moved up into the gap they created. So that's looking good. That's not hesitant. I'll get rid of that one. These guys recalled their skirmish screen. That was down to 2 bases. The French are in here. They're going to fire at those gentlemen. These guys went to attack column. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grenadier battalion changed to attack column. This is Steiner coming on with the 6th Brigade, 4th Division. His artillery joins them, can't shoot this turn. Prussians were in attack column. They moved up into this groove when these guys formed attack column and didn't move anywhere. Boom. So, and they sent their skirmishers forward to engage the Leger. Alright, so lots of attack columns now. And just moving into formation, getting ready for the final assault. Alright, that was a lot. Alright, we'll go into skirmish shooting, starting with the French. Alright, both Leger battalions will fire at the Prussian Fusiliers. I think that's the light infantry. The skirmish out in front here. Brigade on this side over here has got skirmish tasking. They do 3 casualties. They blow away a skirmish base on those gentlemen. The other French skirmish screen is in here. They also have the skirmish tasking. They're going to fire 7 shots into this 4th Battalion of the 7th Brigade with 12 casualties. They go up to 13 casualties now. That'll end the French skirmish task firing. These gentlemen now will fire 3 shots back into that Leger unit on the left that has 4 casualties. They're able to inflict a casualty on those gentlemen. They're up to 5 now. That ends the skirmish shooting. We go into artillery. The French only have really 1 gun that can fire because of 1 battery. Their other battery was in a hesitant brigade. So these guys are going to fire at their same favorite target across here. They have 4 casualties, so they're not warned yet. So, boom. They're up to 9 now. It's 1 away from dispersal. They have to take a discipline check as reservists. Oh, they make it. They'll probably be withdrawing what's left of their guns from the battle next turn. It's because they are beat down. Whew. On the coalition gun line, they can't shoot because they just got here. They're going to fire. They can't shoot because they're in a hesitant brigade and can't reach out that far. They do 1 casualty on those guns, raising them to 5. Over here, both of these batteries can fire a single CD at the French guns in the trees. They're up to 8 casualties now. Serurier still has 1 caisson left if needed. Alright, going on to the volley fire section of the battle. These gentlemen, the Leger, they are worn with 6 casualties now. They're going to blast into this attack column with 13 casualties. It will be an inferior volley because of the they're being worn. Those Leger have been insane. They break them. They take 3 casualties, which would have dispersed them at 15. So they are gone. They falter the brigade. 7th Brigade falters under Clausen. And the recruits will fire, the French recruits will fire in line against 2nd Battalion, 7th Brigade. They take a casualty and go up to 7th, and then we'll get the reservist unit there firing into the 4th Battalion with 13 casualties. Fourth Battalion, 7th Brigade takes 4 casualties. They get devastated. They shatter. That's the 2nd Battalion in the 7th Brigade under Clausen to be dispersed from the battlefield. And now this unit will also take a destiny roll. Well, that would have been awesome, but the coalition, it doesn't have any caissons left. That was the stray howitzer round. Hits the opponent's artillery park and blows up a caisson, an ammunition wagon explosion. So, oof. But they didn't have anything left, so no effect there. They get lucky. Alright, that's the end of French volley fire. Going to this unit here, they'll fire a single CD into, I'll just fire at those recruits. That recruit battalion takes another casualty, go up to 5. The grenadiers are too far away. These gentlemen will fire a single CD into the légère, which has no effect. And then attack columns cannot fire at skirmishers, and especially not skirmishers in the woods. So those guys are all, the cotton's just there for fun, but they're not having any effect at all. Alright, that ends turn 10, going to turn 11, 6 p.m. Woof! We ended turn 14. See you in a minute. Alright, it's 6 p.m. Welcome to turn 11. Oh boy, a lot of troops on the table for the coalition. Can the French hold out? Let's roll for ADCs. Oh, that's a tough one for really just for the coalition. They get 3.
Do you want me to announce that?
Sorry, Alexa was spying on me, little punk. 3 ADCs for both sides. So immediately let's go with the French first because they won initiative last turn, and they're going to do the reserve thing. Serurier is going to bring in the cavalry, probably right in this field. He's got 2 dragoon squadrons. He is going to, let's do this skirmish tasking. Oh, who's going to get charged? Let's do the skirmish tasking with this légère battalion right now in skirmish mode. And then we'll get a reroll on that. So that'll be all 3. And I did catch my own mistake. I think I've done it twice for the coalition. When you use the reserve tasking, you're supposed to still roll for the brigade to come in. If they become hesitant, they don't come on the table. I might have done it for the first Prussian brigade when they got on the table of Liechtenstein's. I know I didn't do it for Steiner, and I don't think I did it for the cavalry either. So that's on me. I'm gonna just so you know the rules. That's correct. I'll probably give the French a free pass just because I did screw up twice. If you're going to screw up, be consistent for both sides. So, but just for the divisional ADC, when you are bringing on a reserve, you have to roll to see if they obey orders. All right, Gilbert's 5th Brigade is hesitant. I think I have actually not fired these guys to long range, these artillery, because I kept considering them with these gentlemen, but they're actually with 5th Brigade. So they're actually going to be able to fire to long range this turn. And that's it. I owe them 1, if not 2. We'll just give them 1 this time. I'm catching all kinds of mistakes. I just got back from church, so I'm feeling sharper. Alright, so French are done. They've got their orders out. Everything's following commands except for that 1 brigade. They're going to be rolling 3d6 for initiative. Go over to the Austrians with their... Really, they only have 2 ADCs because of... they have to use 1 for the 1 penalty already. They're going to give a re-roll to Clausen. So that's 2. And we're just going to try an infantry assault with Liechtenstein without a re-roll and nothing else. Unfortunately, Savoyard becomes hesitant, so no cavalry mad dashes across the table. Clausen does pass his order, so he rallies, but he's hesitant. So that means there's 2 hesitant brigades for the coalition. They'll be rolling 4d6 versus the French 3d6, taking the lower 2. Serurier wins initiative again, and boom, we'll send in the charge as those Prussians will try to hit that Léger battalion right there. Alright, the Prussians charge in. Their skirmishers fall back behind the brigade, or to the rear of the brigade. We're going to get closing fire from the Léger, which will be well disciplined. It will be inferior because they're worn, but they'll get 2 extra CDs, 1 for the discipline and 1 for a column coming at them. These skirmishers in the tree line, they're going to fire on this supporting unit, and then we'll get supports for the Prussians from their right and their rear. They'll have 2, and an extra one because they're grenadier, so they'll get 3 rear rolls, and the Prussians will get 3 rolls as well. Alright, first up we have the Léger battalion firing at this right flank battalion with 7 shots because of the skirmish tasking. Alright, they put 2 casualties on them and they force a discipline check, which the Prussians pass. Now we'll get the closing fire from the Léger. They almost screwed that up, but they got the 2 CDs both hit, and they did 1 extra casualty. So they got 3, which will force the Prussians to roll 3 dice, taking the lower 2 for the charge. That's what we'll do now. French will be rolling 3 as well, because they are worn. They both have 9s with 3 rerolls. I don't know. Oh, the chances of blowing that are huge. They're going to stay there and just go to hand at the end. French are going to do the same thing. Alright, that ends the charge phase. Now we go into movement phase. Alright, French skirmish screen had moved out slightly, but the Austrians from this brigade moved forward. They sent their skirmishers out to engage them. Little firefight action. Cavalry stationary. Both those guns are still there. 2 dragoon squadrons have arrived back here under Rothenburg. These gentlemen are holding firm. Oh, I did, I forgot to mention it, but I did send, what's his name, send his last caisson, Serurier, to that battery, lowering them down from 8 to 6 casualties. I think that's it for these gentlemen. Those Austrian grenadiers, they wanted to charge this turn. This wasn't enough ADC, so they moved forward to charge next turn. I got to put some cotton balls in front of them. They'll be shooting in a second. Charges here. These 2 battalions went into line, and those 2 battalions withdrew. Those battalions back there withdrew. They're still in range of getting fired from the woods. And then the Prussian brigade back there moved forward. Basically be someone can fall back and support on them if they need to. If someone gets broken. I think that's it. Good stuff. Put some cotton balls down on those Austrian grenadiers. Alright, the grenadiers have cotton balls, and I forgot to mention these recruits, I'm going to put a retreat marker here. These guys retired to the second line and put a new fresh recruit battalion up front. Alright, the skirmish task, that Léger battalion is going to fire 5 shots into that line. French skirmishers in the woods fire into this battalion up here on the hill. It's trying to fall back. The Austrians get lucky there. They miss everything. And then finally we'll get 5 shots from these French skirmishers here with their first shots of the game at the Jaegers out here in front of this last Austrian left flank units. These Austrians, it's their turn to shoot. They'll fire back with 5 shots at the French. French take a casualty, and I don't think there's any other. Yeah, there's no other light infantry for the skirmishers for the coalition. All right, that ends that. Now we'll go into artillery fire. Guns up on the hill with 5 casualties. Will fire at their favorite target across the way. Oh, I forgot to withdraw them from the battlefield. Oh, it's all my fault. I pay the price for forgetting. Oh no! They only had 1 casualty to give, and it's got hit with everything. So they're blasted. They are dispersed. They will falter the brigade. So Wimpfen's 2nd Brigade falters there under that artillery fire. The other French gun will fire at their favorite target with 1 CD. They have 6 casualties now. They're worn. Time for the Austrians to fire back. We'll start down here with their guns. This gun will fire at those gentlemen with 1 CD. And this battery cannot shoot at them because of they're worn and they're firing to cover at long range. So they're just going to switch targets and fire at long range at that column there, just with 1 CD, with bounce through. 2nd Battalion, 5th Brigade takes a casualty. The bounce through does not reach a target. And these gentlemen over here will both fire inferior blasts against those gentlemen there. The cavalry is at least too far back to take bounce through. No effect on the French guns. That's good things. Alright, we'll go into volley fire. We'll have these new recruit line that moved. They'll fire into this lead grenadier unit. They take 2 casualties, and now we'll get the reservist unit that hammered somebody last turn. They'll fire at these gentlemen, who are also grenadiers. They absolutely blast the 3rd Battalion of 1st Brigade with 4 casualties. They got to take a discipline check, but they're saving as grenadiers, so they need a 6. They passed that. That'll end the French volley fire. All 3 of these battalions are going to fire, of the Austrians, are going to fire straight ahead into that recruit battalion. I consider these grenadier units well disciplined. They'll get an extra CD for each of them. They inflict 3 casualties to those recruits, and then we'll get this Austrian line battalion. Will fire a single CD. They didn't move. They don't get the extra die for being large into the woods against the Léger. They inflict a 2nd casualty on that Léger battalion, and now we go to the hand-to-hand with, I gotta do some math. Prussians will be rolling 5 dice, French will be rolling 4 because they're worn. Prussians do awesome. They do 4 casualties to the Leger. The Leger are able to do 2 back to the Prussians. The Prussians are at 5 casualties. They take the ground. The Leger retreat back into Reinsdorf with 10 casualties. They unform the Leger battalion behind them. And that's it. And that'll end turn 11. We're going to turn 12. Wow. Alright, it's turn 12, 6:30 p.m. The Austrians have a faltering brigade over here on the right. Both sides have one C&C command left. Neither side has a caisson left. And it's time to roll for ADC availability. Alright, the French are going to go to Couture and give him glory and a reroll with his brigade in here. And they're going to do a skirmish tasking over here with no reroll with Bertrand. And that's all 3. French must be getting tired at the end as Bertrand and Couture both go hesitant. So no skirmish tasking, no glory for them. Oh, and they'll be rolling 46 for initiative. Hardegg's going to gets a 1 for the penalty. 2 will be the reroll. And the last 2 will do post of honor on Schneller to go in against those recruits. Wimpfen rallies to hesitant. Those guys pass, they pass. Clausen goes hesitant. Those guys are automatic. Plus they give an extra 1d6 reroll. And everything out here is good to go. The Coalition will be rolling 46, re-rolling 1 of their die, and the French just roll 46, take the lowest 2. Right now, the French are winning 5-7, or sorry, 6-7, but the Coalition will roll their 2, and literally do worse. So the Serurier holds on again to the initiative. Alright, but they don't have any charges. So we're going in here with the Grenadier charging in against these gentlemen. It won't make a difference to the charge, but the skirmishers are going to fire at this left-hand unit as they go in with 5 shots. They do 1 casualty to those gentlemen. They're up to 5 now. Now we'll get the closing fire from the recruit battalion, firing into this lead unit with 1 extra CD. They blast them for 4 casualties. I forgot to take 1 off for post of honor, so these guys will end up with 5 on the way in. They won't be worn. They do have to take a discipline check as they get rocked for that nice shot by the recruits. Which they pass. Now, let's see what happens here. Alright, in the charge, the Austrians will roll 3d6 because they did take over 3 hits. French are just rolling 2d6. And the Austrians have to take the lowest 2 dice. Reroll wise, the Austrians will get 1 reroll for being a grenadier. And then 2 supports, so 3 rerolls. The French have 3 supports, 1 to their left, 1 to their right, and 1 to their rear. Right now they both have 4. Austrians re-rolling with their superior ability. Yes, their esprit de corps from being grenadiers pays off. They're up to 8. French are at 4. French are going to use their rear support to come on into the combat and see if they can raise that 1. French tied up at 8. Austrians, their right support goes in, tries to re-roll the 2. No effect. Their left support goes in. They're going to join the combat as well after the right support stumbles around. Oh, no effect. It's tied up. The Léger battalion over here rush into battle. Try to re-roll that 3. They get lost on the way and make it worse. Now the guys that have been awesome, these reserve unit that has been fighting like their SEAL Team 6, they run on in. Oh, that not much of an impact. The Austrians are going to win by 1, so they're going to get Elan, and the French are going to, and the recruits are going to fight as unformed. It took a lot of units out of the French firing line too. Like all of their volley fire is gone. All right, that ends the charge phase. Go into movement. Or after the movement phase, Prussians and Austrians stayed static over here. This Prussian brigade moving up. These gentlemen falling back. Clausen. Steiner's skirmishers go over here. They're going to engage the French Léger in the woods. Those guys can't go past the center line. Austrian cavalry moves forward, and then this brigade over here under Greth, the 3rd Brigade, they move forward slightly. French just snuck up their cavalry a little bit and did some reforming where they could. Alright, skirmish firing. The French have these 5 shots at these Austrians here. And then they also have those 5 shots over there into the Austrians running towards them. They do 2 casualties to the Grens, and that blows away a base of them. They'll fire back now with 4 shots. They basically Yahtzee and miss everything. These Jaegers run up. They can get 4 shots into these boys in the woods. Not a good turn for coalition skirmish shooting. Sorry about your luck. Alright, they miss. And that'll end skirmish firing. The French will fire this battery. They'll fire at this newer Prussian gun on the left here. They do a casualty to them, and then the other French gun, they're going to switch targets now that they have these guys at effective range, these cavalry. They're going to fire inferior blast at effective range with an extra CD for the column at that the cuirassiers. They put a casualty on them. These 2 guns, they're going to do different things. One gun on the left is going to, the batteries are going to fire at the French with 1 CD, the French guns. They miss, and this gun's going to fire inferior blast with bounce through into that same unit they fired at last time. They do 1 casualty to that trailing battalion of attack column, and then over here the Prussian guns are both going to fire inferior blasts at the French guns up on the hill. Do 2 casualties on them, raising them to 7. They'll take a discipline check, looking for a 8 or above. French passed that discipline check. That ends the artillery phase. Volley fire. All of the French guns were tied up in a charge, the volley. So we go to the Austrians. These guys will fire 2 CDs, 1 from shooting and then 1 for just being a large unit in line into the trees. They do 2 casualties to that Léger battalion. All 3 of these guys will fire into that Léger battalion. They do 2 casualties, and that is the end of volley fire. We do the hand-to-hand now, as we do melee at the Austrian Grenadiers with post of honor against a recruit battalion. That could be fun. Holy cow, the Grenadiers are going to be rolling 9 dice. 2 for post of honor, 1 for Elan, 1 for being Grenadier versus recruits, and their normal 5. And then the recruits are unformed, they go down to 4. Holy cow, the Austrians choke. They roll like every 2 on the planet. Well, they roll the 3s. 3s and 2s. It's a draw. The Austrians withdraw, become unformed. Both sides take 2 casualties. The Austrian Grenadiers are up to 7 casualties. Recruits were unformed anyway. They remain unformed. They go up to 5 casualties and hold the ground. Wow, what a mess. Okay, that's how it goes. That's the end of turn 12. Going into turn 13, that could have been it. Those recruits might have just won it for the Emperor down here at Reinsdorf. Alright, it's turn 13. The sun is going down quickly. Let's see what both these guys can do. Start off, it's 7 p.m. and let's roll some ADCs. Holy cow, that might have just cost the coalition this battle. Did you see that? It was like 9 twos. It was like 5 of them though. 1 ADC for Hardegg. All of his ADCs they just heard there was a sale at Kroger or something, or Walmart. They took off running. And Tesco for all you English people. And the French, I can't even, I'm still like amazed I rolled that bad. And then the French got 4. So good job by Serurier. Alright, I'm feeling a little psycho. Scott's going to kill me for doing this. But the French are going to go for a good offense is the best defense. Gilbert's got like the 2nd best brigade, and he hasn't done anything in this battle except get shot at by some cannons. We're to give him a redeploy that he can go on the offensive, a forwards tasking, and a reroll. That's all 4. No one else is getting anything else. Wow, that is probably a mistake, but I'm going to roll it before I change my mind. The only thing that Hardegg can do with his 1 ADC is put an infantry assault onto Liechtenstein. No other ADCs, no rerolls, no nothing. Steiner and the cavalry over here under what's his name, Sivayar, both go hesitant. Everything else is active duty, and the charge will go in with the Prussians. But 2 hesitant brigades means they're rolling 46, taking a lower 2, and the French are doing 3d6. Alright, well, one good thing's happening already for the Austrians. They do win the initiative. They have a 3, and the French get double 1s. That's terrible. You win initiative with a 3. Okay, that works though. Alright, so we'll do a charge, and those Prussians will bang in against, oh Oh gosh, they can't, they're only going to have like 2 supports. That's going to be sad. Okay, here we go. No, they're not going to have any supports because they're unformed. Alright, the Leger, all by their lonesome. They're going to have to fire into this lead Prussian unit that has 5 casualties that's doing the charge. They absolutely smoked that Prussian unit with 4 casualties, forcing a discipline check. They're up to 9 casualties, looking for an 8. Alright, Prussians fail that check. They have, they're going to be unformed and worn. They're going to roll 4d6 on the charge. They can't re-roll 1s. They're taking the lowest 2. The Leger only have 2 casualties. They are formed. So, and then they have no supports. And technically, well, yeah. The skirmishers can fire into those guys. But I'm going to go ahead and roll the charge first, then I'll have the skirmishers fire. The skirmishers can't support. Holy cow, the Leger break out at 12 on their defense. They get to roll a discipline check, a destiny roll against these guys as they come in. The Prussians have got a 5, but they do have their 3 rerolls. The blast from the Prussians slices some brigade colonel in half. That falters the unit as that guy's killed. Everyone just mills around in confusion. The charge just dies on the vine. The Leger battalion in the woods there will fire into this side unit with 5 shots. So Liechtenstein's 5th Brigade falters. They're stuck right there. The what is that? 1st Battalion of his brigade takes another casualty from those skirmishers in the woods. They're up to 3 now. That'll end the charge phase. We'll go into movement phase, and I'm going to roll the bonus for the Psycho French with my crazy idea. Alright, crazy stuff happening. The French, Gilbert pulled his skirmish screen out here to shield the guns. Then he rushed forward with his guys. So the guns could fire, but they're going to hit the skirmishers with canister. They'll probably incinerate them. These guys reacted to their charge and they pivoted to the left. These guys are hesitant, so they couldn't pivot towards an enemy, so they're facing straight ahead. They're still going straight ahead. These guys have to reform. They're stuck. They're staying where they are. Cavalry's hesitant, couldn't move. These guys move forward. Hopefully at night, right when the sun goes down, they'll launch their attack, their human wave attack against Greth. Cavalry here is held firm. These guys are holding firm. Some of these units reformed. These guys reformed. And yeah, it's just I can't believe I did that. But oh well, the French, they're not known for being passive. I think Serurier got an email from Napoleon to get crazy. So he did it. Okay, that's it. Well, technically, these guys wouldn't be able to react to him at all because they would have moved first. So I'm going to turn those guys back facing this way, and they wouldn't even have seen those guys coming. So, oh boy. Okay, and that'll do it. I'll fix that, and we'll get back into skirmish shooting. Yeah, that is one bummer about winning the initiative. These guys would have had to move first. So their skirmishers were engaged with those gentlemen, so they held their ground, not knowing that those guys were going to pull out and run 18 inches that direction. And these guys were they were facing this way, so that's where they are. They're not expecting these guys to come running around the corner to mess them all up. All right. Wow. All right, we'll see you in a second here. We're going to try to think about this and digest this, and we'll get into skirmish shooting. Alright, skirmish shooting. Not all these bases are within 12 inches of that, so they can't shoot. They can't shoot to those guys, so they're not shooting. Those 4 or 3 Jaeger bases over there, or Grenz bases, can fire 4 shots at those other French skirmishers. They have no effect. Alright, the French can fire 5 shots from their skirmishers into the Grenz. These skirmishers fire 5 shots at this artillery on the side here. They're up to 7 casualties now, and then that final Léger skirmish formation will fire at the line in front of them. They'll have no impact. We go into artillery. These 2 Prussian guns will fire long-range blasts at that gun across the way. They do 1 casualty to each battery takes a casualty on that nightmare. All right, both of these guns are going to fire canister at the skirmish screen. Any extra casualties will go through to that last base. They blow away a skirmish screen. There actually would be penetration into this unit here. I'm going to roll 3 dice into those guys. They take 3 more casualties and go up to 4. That ends their artillery phase for the coalition. That gun's going to fire at effective range at those cuirassiers. Probably get bounced through into that unit next to them, dragoons, from that angle. And it's effective range with an extra CD for firing at a column, but they are warned, so they'll go down a level. That regiment of cuirassiers takes 1 casualty, nothing too exciting, and then we'll get a single CD from this gun firing across at the more damaged Prussian gun. They take a fatigue casualty, go up to 8 casualties. That ends artillery fire phase. Going to volley fire. These Austrians over here will fire into the trees. A skirmish unit with 1 CD and an extra additional CD for being a large unit in line. They take a casualty and go up to 5. Now we'll get these 2 Grenadier battalions, both firing a CD plus an extra CD each for being drilled into that recruit unit. Terrible shooting. That unit takes a fire discipline token for losing their mind. And that's it for Austrian volley fire. Now we'll get French volley fire back. We'll start with our favorite bunch of reservists firing just a great volley into these guys. They do 2 casualties to them, raising to 7. Now we'll get the recruits to fire a volley into these guys. Just a regular volley. They take 2 casualties, and that will end, if you can believe it, that'll end turn 13. Going into the final turn, becomes 7:30 p.m. It's getting really dark out here, and basically hostilities will end after this last half hour. All right, welcome to the final turn. We're rolling ADCs. That last turn was an absolute nightmare for the coalition. Just everything went wrong. Oh, terrible. All right, time to redeem themselves. They did win the initiative, though. So let's see if that helps. With the faltering brigade, not a lot of choices. They pay the 1 penalty. They do a re-roll on Liechtenstein just to prevent him from getting imploded. And then they use their last 2 for an infantry assault and glory with their grenadiers that are going to go in kind of all piecemeal disaster style. We'll see what happens. But they have no re-roll. So... well, not the greatest turn as... Second Brigade goes hesitant. These guys rally to hesitant. I think those guys were good. No, they're this Prussian unit is hesitant. These guys are good. The cavalry goes hesitant again, and so does, is this Clausen out here? No, this is Greth, right? Yeah, and Greth shuts it down as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we're rolling 7 dice on initiative. The French are going to do post of honor out here and slam into those guys. That's 2. Ooh, what else should we do? Hang on. And then we'll do glory and a reroll for Couture in the center to repulse this attack. Bertrand goes hesitant. Everything else is active. French should be rolling 3d6 for initiative, plus they get to re-roll their lowest dice, while the Austrians are rolling, or the coalition's rolling 7 dice, taking the lowest 2. Alright, the post of honor charge into the flank. They were fully behind these guys, so they have to take a discipline check. They are warned, so they're looking for an 8. So this is a total nightmare. They'll hit these guys and blow them to pieces. That'll disperse the entire... what brigade is this? Sorry. Clausen's 7th Brigade is dispersed. These guys advance on and hit these Prussian reservists in the flank. And they will... oh, and then they'll combat with Elan against them. So they crush that entire brigade. Clausen flees. He also loses the artillery battery over here that belonged to that regiment, or that brigade, excuse me. So they're gone. These reservists are about to try to hand in their flank. That'll be at the end of the turn, though. What a nightmare! All right, now we've got these guys charging in against the. Oh boy, I guess you have to pick 2. I'd pick. Oh. Hang on. We'll send in the unit with the fire discipline and the 2 casualties and support them with this against the recruits. Recruits are going to fire with all their hatred into them. Alright, they go up to 3 casualties. The Austrians have 1 support and they get an extra 1 for being grenadier superior to the recruits. So they'll get 2 rerolls. French will get 2 dice and to attack with, and then 3 supports. Alright, right now the Austrians are winning 7-6. French are going to bring in their rear support. That's another battalion's going to rush into the combat, try to reroll the 2. Will they make it worse? That's terrible. Let's send in these insano, what's it called? It's reservists that have been awesome this entire game. Alright, French are winning 10-7 right now. Austrians going to roll their 1. 8-2 right now. Austrians going to send their last reserve unit, their trailing 1st Battalion, to get in there and see what they can do. Oh, they make it worse. Oh, it's 7-10. Lose by 3. Those recruits repulse another attack by the grenadiers. That's embarrassing. All right, both Austrian units take 1 CD. They go up to 8 casualties. This unit here, these guys are untouched with 3 casualties, but they're back here unformed. That ends the charge phase. Movement-wise, there's no point moving anything. Half this stuff is... There's no point even finishing it. Well, we'll do for casualties, yeah. All right, so because we are playing a campaign. If this was not a campaign, I would not be doing this. All right, so we'll go into skirmish shooting. French won initiative. Start over there. 5 shots into those gentlemen. Actually, both Leger units that are in skirmish formation are going to fire on this guy. So 10 shots coming in at these guys. They take 3 casualties and go up to 6. These guys, when they move forward, they went back into their trees again before these guys could. They're going to fire 4 shots into these Jaegers. They do 1 casualty to those Jaegers, and then these French skirmishers fire 5 shots into these Grenzers. They do 2 and blow away a skirmish screen over there. It's the end of the French skirmish shooting. Those 2 bases will fire 3 shots back at the French. They do 1 casualty to those guys. Not doing too much. These guys would have 5 shots, going down to 4 firing into the trees. They have no effect. That ends skirmish fire for the 14th turn. Going over to artillery, this French gun will fire long range at these guys here, just with 1 CD. I put a 3rd casualty onto those guys. This gun will fire at effective range at a column, it would bounce through into the other dragoons there. No effect. French gun will fire at those guns over there within just a single CD. And I meant to say Austrian guns. Sorry about that. Take a fatigue casualty. Oh, I put it on the officer, which is actually fitting. That gun's up to 3, and then these 2 guns will fire inferior blasts across the French gun. Great shooting by the Prussians. Maybe too little, too late. They destroy the artillery battery. They falter 2nd Brigade for Greth. Those guys have already shot this turn and repulsed the attack by the Austrian Grenadiers, so they really had nothing left to do. And that finishes the artillery phase. We go into volley fire. Those guys took part in a charge. They can't do anything. None of them are them. They already. Oh, this unit right here can fire a single CD at those reservists. They miss. We'll do a single CD plus an extra CD at those guys in the woods. So should have fired an extra CD from those Austrian Grenadiers because they are a Grenadier. I'll do 1 more shot for them. Still no effect. Now we'll kick over these guys in the woods and they'll fire 2 CDs. They put an additional casualty onto those Leger and skirmish order in the trees. And then these 3 Prussian units will all fire a single CD at those Leger. They put 2 casualties on them, raising them to 8, I think, right? No, up to 4. Sorry about that. Alright, in this last hand-to-hand to end the game, these guys have Post of Honor for the double glory, 2 extra CDs. They also have a lawn hitting them, so that's another one. They're going to be at 8 dice. These guys get 2 because they're getting hit by the flank. So it's 8 versus 2. These guys would take 3 casualties and retreat. These guys would take none. And that's how, and then it's nighttime. Basically, guys are flailing around all over the place. So the coalition would pull back. The French have held the right flank of their line at Zwickau. I'll let Scott interpret this how it went. It was really just, oh man, it was really kind of, the French got, I mean, between those guys holding in the trees, the légers, they were amazing. Going into skirmish order in the trees was great. These recruits and these reservists just hammering guys. The recruits holding out against 2 grenadier attacks. The rest of the Leger battalion able to hold out and kind of rotate in and out and hold out against Prussian attacks. Then just horrible ADC rolling at the end, and just a comedy of errors in attacks, and it was just, oh, it got rough. I really didn't want to attack over here on the left because I wanted to do the narrow front. I didn't want to take away from this. Then I just tried to push the envelope, and then these guys just all went hesitant the entire game. And it was just, I had one more CNC command to use, and I was like, and I had this line brigade had been untouched, so I was like, let's go. And also the French in those trees right there, just pouring fire everywhere. They did great. And then they're coming in, charging and wiping out these guys, and coming in from the rear, it just turned into a mess. They just never got into Reinsdorf. They never even got to the outside of the town. They were always on the outskirts. They never broke the line. Casualties are pretty significant. I'll add these all up and I'll put them on a post. But whoa, and they will affect Zwickau. This is part of Colloredto's First Corps, so they'll have to absorb all these casualties. And French are going to be hurting too. This is Saint-Cyr's guys, so he lost, what was it, the 61st Division? I think it was one of his divisions. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the 61st Division. But they were significantly outnumbered, the French, and they were able to hold the ground just with some real luck and some good shooting. So every time I needed like a double six, that double six on the charge was insane and blowing away the Prussians there. Got a couple double sixes over here from the recruits and the reserve unit, just hammering into Austrian units. Especially that brigade that got blown off the map. Was it Clausen's? The 7th Brigade got destroyed going into that groove first. Then the Grenadiers went in next and they got destroyed. So they did some phenomenal work right in here. Well, that's enough talk. I hope you enjoyed it. This was just going to be a fun little thing for me. This really kind of changed my opinion. I started off playing divisional games, and then I got into corps level because I was like, I want to play corps level games. Corps level games they're great, but they're a lot. And each turn would take, each turn would take a while, but it would be like 30 minutes to 40 minutes of recording. And these ones, a lot of the turns until towards the end were like 12 minutes, 11 minutes. They were quick. They were fast down here too. Usually I play one turn and I go upstairs and edit. I was playing like 2-3 turns every time because it's quick. This was a big divisional game, a regular divisional game. You definitely could do it a night. And I have to take back, apologize to Dave Brown for saying, hey man, I thought you couldn't do GDA in one sitting, but I forgot. If you don't get stupid, which I don't seem to be capable of not doing, yeah, you can really, there's nothing wrong with having a divisional game. So, awesome. I would like to have seen more things, but this was just, the cavalry on cavalry have been great, but they just went hesitant, like 3 turns in a row. Didn't do anything. So, just what they sat out there in front of the artillery with a hit me sign. They just got lucky. The guns couldn't even impact them that well. And it was a phenomenal game. I loved it. Can't wait to see the next one. We've split the Leipzig battlefield into 6 parts. Scott's going to do a great video of that, I'm sure. I've already allocated the coalition forces to each 6 maps. I've got them out to the group, and then Scott's going to put out the French forces, and then what's in reserve, and yeah, and then we'll have that battle. That's going to start probably mid next week or the weekend. Roundy and Josh want to get on Discord, and the four of us, if we can trick Doug, we'll bring him on too. We'll get out there and we'll have a little bit of fun, and maybe have a little chat before the battle. We kind of make some predictions and stuff and see what happens. You never know with Wayne and Josh. They're wild cards, but they're good guys, and I'm glad they joined the campaign. And we've got Mike D's going to play LaSalle, which I'd like to at least watch and learn. If he's going to type me out a narrative battle report or post it, I'm not sure what he's going to do, but I'm going to enjoy that. Stu's going to do General d'Armée. Rob's going to do Black Powder. And then, of course, Wayne and Josh will do GDA. Scott will do GDA, and I'll do GDA. So 6 different games, 3 different rules. Stu, don't know where he's from. Could be living next door to me. I don't know. And everyone else is either Canadian, who's from New Zealand, or from Australia. If I don't see you before Anzac Day, good job, you Austrians and New Zealand guys. Sorry about Gallipoli. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you real soon. See you guys. Bye.